The podcast you are about to listen to is one of the many podcasts that is part of the College Huddle, the largest fan-led college sports podcast community on the internet. Fan-made, fan-driven, and fan-fueled. The College Huddle.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free!
Okay, next question.
I'm a horse football coach right now.
You know, it got shoved up. It got shoved up.
What's up, Spartans fans? Welcome to episode 43 of the Spartan Savants podcast. It's, of course, your host, Willie, joined by two proud Spartans, Travis and Nikki. We've got a lot to get into today. Obviously, we've got the reaction to the Kansas loss in the Champions Classic for basketball. Football team has a big game coming up against Illinois this weekend. We'll talk about the CFP rankings, the second rankings from this year's College Football Playoff Committee. We'll have Miss the Vis making its return, and of course, we'll have the picks. Things are getting pretty tight around the picks and for the home stretch. So every game will be important moving forward. But, of course, want to check in with the boys over there in Dallas. Nikki, Trav, how are we doing?
Could use some things going a little better, but yeah.
Yeah, you know, we lost the Champions Classic. Who cares about anything? What matters anymore these days is nothing sacred. That Lions game was one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
The Lions, they just keep on doing it. They just keep on doing it. 5 interceptions, and they still find a way to win.
No more MVP race there.
No, I think that's over.
That's gonna close the book. Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately, maybe water finding its level a tad bit there, but no reason to mess around too much here. Get right into it. Obviously, Michigan State went down to Kansas last night in the Big Ten, or I'm sorry, the Champions Classic. This year in Atlanta, a lot of empty seats. I don't know if Atlanta's maybe the best.
Not a good sign
going forward, but
no.
You know, I'm sure we'll have a lot of thoughts here. It's like Nick said, this honestly could last 2.5 minutes, or it could last 32.5 minutes. I am not really sure. I'm interested to see how your guys takes. But Nick, I know you are the Spartan Savant and probably the Michigan State fan base stronghold when it comes to reverence for the Champions Classic. So I'll start with you. Just give me your knee-jerk reaction and thoughts to the loss.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day yesterday in Atlanta, Georgia, the most prestigious event in college basketball, and some would say sports, the Champions Classic. Tom Izzo became the losingest coach of all time in the Champions Classic with 9 losses. So that's not that fun. It's just like, you know, it was close. Both teams played horribly. It's just classic November college basketball. And like, I guess I had fun watching times like that. Jace Richardson almost buzzer beater was pretty sweet. But like, at no point did I really think we were going to win. It's just like, it's like pre-season, like this is the closest to apathy I've gotten in basketball. Like, soonest to apathy I've gotten in a while. Like, it's, yeah, look, we were close against a good team. Cool. I'd like to win that sometime. Yeah. Booker and Akins were horrible. Akins has to step up. They keep saying it in the broadcast, like, oh, is Akins going to be the alpha dog? Like, they're just calling him a pussy. Man, Booker makes me sad. He'll get it one day. The team seems to have fight. I do like Fears. I like all the players. They all seem like good guys. Jace Richardson's incredible. We got to learn how to make threes. That's like our bet, not making threes at the beginning of the year. We were foul merchants at the beginning of the game. I mean, it seemed like all of our points in the first 15 minutes were just at the line, but I don't care how we get them. At least we got some points. Kept it close. Hunter Dickinson is a piece of human filth. But again, I would have liked to win this. It's just I don't even care. Like I don't even care that he stomped on our logo and like did all that. Like it just whatever.
Yeah, I'm with you in the apathy vote about Trev. Go ahead, go.
Yeah,
ahead.
that makes three of us. I mean, shit. I've gotten to the point where I come into this thing every year expecting to lose. That's not what this program is about at all. So, there were some good things. Obviously, we shot abysmally from three. If that's just shooting badly, we could be sitting here talking about a win over the number one team in the country. But I'm sick and tired of all these fucking moral victories on the court, on the field. You know, if they don't count. It's just plain and simple. Like cool progress. The progress is the wins. Where Michigan State basketball, always a winning program. The past few years has not been the same, and I'm tired of it. We need wins.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I don't really have time for moral victories at this point. I can understand it's November and there's things that the team is still working on and that things are still being implemented and we're still building, and I get that. But it just seems like it's especially in these big games, it's like rinse, wash, repeat. It's like they play bad enough for us to stay in the game, but we don't take advantage of any opportunities. We don't shoot well, like you both mentioned. You guys both know I turned it off at halftime. I did not watch second half. I've seen that game before so many times. I know the outcome, and I'm sure you guys too. It was nothing surprised me when I woke up and we were down 7 with 2 minutes left. It was not surprising at all. This all goes to say I'm frustrated, and I know it's November. It's probably way too early to be this frustrated, but it seems like I've seen this team before, just like I've seen this game. I've seen this team, and I have a hard time being convinced that we're not going to be a 7 seed, limping into the tournament, just like we were last year. Is there anyone on this podcast that feels differently?
I don't think it's as dire as everybody's making it out to be, but it's hard to, after a game like that where they just like they were there and they couldn't close it. It's hard to see them closing enough games to rise above that.
One thing too that we haven't done the last few years is the last few years we've had like an insanely hard non-conference. We don't really have that this year.
Yeah,
the non-conference games that we lost were like getting us into the tournament the past 2 years.
Right.
Like we're actually going to have to go over 500 in the Big Ten to make the tournament.
We're gonna have to get some wins in Maui.
2020. Man, we'll get better, but like we all know how it's going to go.
I do think they're better than last year. It's just how much better.
Well, let me ask you this, Trev. Yeah. What you said there was some encouraging things last night. What were they?
Yeah, I mean, it was just the fact that I guess some of this was in Kansas's hands, but the fact that Hunter Dickinson was their only offense for most of the game was a huge factor. The fact that we were able to get good looks and wide open looks and were able for a lot of it to play the game that we kind of wanted to play. We just weren't making the shots is a positive. But then at the end of the day, you just didn't win the game. It looked a lot more like a Spartan basketball game against the number one team than it has the past couple years, I guess was the overall point. But it's still not the result that we wanted. So, like I said, it feels like they're a little bit better, but at the same time, you got to win the games when they're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say.
Look, I thought the rebounding was better than it has been in years past. I think Kohler is building on some good performances. He seems to be putting it together. He had 12 points, 10 rebounds last night, a double-double. I mean, I'm not really sure what more you could ask of him. Obviously the shooting, no one needs to beat this dead horse. 3 for 24 is not gonna cut it versus any team. Now, do I think they're gonna shoot like 15% from the three the rest of the season? No, but we went through the same thing last year, so it's tough to see. I think the biggest frustration for me is Akins and Booker just being totally non-existent in a game like this, where like you're not playing Monmouth, you're not playing Niagara, and it's great that Akins performed well against Monmouth and an okay game versus Niagara, but these are the games that we need him to be better. And for him to be non-existent is just a huge concern that, like we're going to have to play Purdue, Indiana, Michigan, pretty good teams in the Big Ten. It's not a cakewalk conference. UCLA now, it's just discouraging to see that Akins is not really. And look, it's one game. I get it. People are going to listen to this and think I'm overreacting.
It's really not one game though.
Right. We've seen it for 3
always
years.
Something with this team. It's like, the other team's shooting 20% from three. Guess what? We'll shoot 10% from three.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
We'd never take advantage of anything. We just always find with this team. The last few years, we found ways to lose.
Yeah.
It's just like it just sucks. It just sucks being an MSU fan right now. In all facets.
It's tough.
Oh,
It just sucks.
Yeah. Life is tough these days.
It's tough.
Yeah. I do think, Wilson, you made a good point about Kohler there. We actually have some big guys that can get some buckets offensively now, and that's something that was missing last year, I feel like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
I love
go ahead.
Jace. I'm just want some positivity. Love Kohler. Love Jace. Love Fears. He's tough.
I was
bullshit.
just going to say,
Those
I
guys
don't want to paint the totally negative picture on my end. Jace Richardson, I think he's probably our best scorer, if I'm being told right now.
Yeah.
On the 13th day of November of the year 2024, Jace Richardson is our best pure scorer, which is great for him, and it's a good find, and I'm glad we have him. But it's definitely a knock against guys that have been around for a while. Akins, Booker, even Holloman. Fears, I think, is playing his role. He had 9 points, 6 assists last night. I'd like to see that assist number a little higher, but he also can't help it if people are not scoring. Fiddler, 15 points, 8 rebounds. I don't know how many of those points came from free throws. I didn't look at that.
Like 8.
Yeah. I mean, he does a nice job getting to the line. I'd like to see him knock down some more shots. Trev, you made a good point. It's not the shot selection that's the problem. They got open shots. They got good shots. They just didn't make anything. And, a lot of apologists out there will say, well, eventually those will go in. Eventually those will go in. And that's probably the case. But you're also not going to play a team that shoots as badly as Kansas does either, or did either. So, and if this were, like you said, Nick, if this were just one single game, take out everything else around it, I could easily look past it and move on. But it's a pattern, right? We shot poorly to start the season last year. And in reality, like Akins is the guy that has to be better and that you would like to, and he's not. He's starting just like he did last year. So, I don't know. I thought Carr, he looks better. Still need more from him. Booker and Akins are just, to me, like we said in the last episode, Booker or Akins, is the guy. He has to be the guy. And him scoring no points or 2 points last night it's scary and it's totally unacceptable. And Booker, 0 points, 1 rebound is just completely unacceptable. We're not going to go far if that's the output we're getting from those two players.
Yeah. And I don't even think they played Booker in the second half because the match. Itzel said it was a matchups thing, but that's not great.
Well, if you're better, then it's not a matchup problem.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I feel like if he was getting rebounds and scoring, we would find a way to work around the matchup issue. But I can understand why they said. I mean, he was 0 for 4 from 3. 1 rebound,
wide open threes too.
Yeah,
wide open.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's tough to get excited about this team right now. I mean, it's tough to invade or exude any confidence after a loss like that. The 2 wins they have, that's great. They beat they beat teams that they absolutely should have beaten. Come to play a game against a team that, it should be close. And like you said, Nick, I didn't really ever think they were going to win. Like, it was just not, the writing was on the wall.
That's, again, we could have put on any of the nine Champions Classics. We lost. That's the exact same game.
Yeah.
Looks the exact same, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
teams allergic to a lead. It's always the vanity comebacks. It's like the last 3 years. It's just, it's always, we're down by a bit. We're almost there. We're almost there. This time we got tied. Usually it's within 2. So this year we did get it tied. So we are making mild steps, but we are just allergic to the lead in big games.
Yeah.
Allergic to big games in general.
Yeah. Our biggest game in the past 5 years is Marquette. Our biggest win.
Right.
Marquette. I don't care that it was a good Marquette team. It's a Marquette.
I agree. I mean, you are preaching to my choir right now. I mean, look, they're going to win. The next 2 games are against Bowling Green and Stanford. They'll win those, and I'm sure that they'll look somewhat impressive. Maybe Akins will even score some, and maybe Booker too. And, people will buy back in, and then they'll play Colorado and Maui. They'll probably win that. And then, they might play Connecticut or someone, and it'll be the same exact thing. Like, it's just going to be the same exact thing as we just saw. And then people say, well, Connecticut, they played very well. They're the best team in the country. And, well, they were using a basketball that we're not used to. And, the shooting depth in those big arenas, it's not great. And we'll have all these apologies for why we shot 10% from three-point land.
I have to say something about the Spalding thing. All these teams, they shot bad because of the Spalding, but Kentucky played well and because they practiced that ball. Okay, then why didn't we practice that ball?
Yeah, how is that? What in the world? Why is that? Hey,
it wasn't a secret.
Yeah, it seems to be pretty I don't know, standard. Hey, this is a ball we're going to play a really big game with. Maybe we just use this for practice for the week. It can't be that hard. I mean,
it's not gonna mess up everything for the rest of the year. Oh yeah, that 1 week they practiced with the Spalding ball. That's why they lost against Indiana in February.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, and they're like, we shot so bad. So did Kansas. Right. Yeah.
Why couldn't we out tough them then? Their players were in foul trouble in
the entire game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's one of those things okay, let's just say Kansas didn't shoot bad. We would have got run out of the gym. And like you said, Travis, if we would have just shot
badly from
better,
3,
we would have won, right?
Yeah.
And so either way, it's just a bad look for MSU.
We always find a way to do worse than what we need.
We're right. 353 and 3-point shooting percentage now. It's only 3 games, but Jesus.
Gavault.
I think Gavault is right. So let's see. I'm just looking at the Maui Invitational bracket now. So if we win, we would play the winner of UConn Memphis, so UConn. And then probably Iowa State or Auburn.
They're top 10.
And then North Carolina. So, I mean, some chance for some good wins there. But also, just another chance for some letdown losses as well. Yeah, I don't know. I'm discouraged. I was gonna come on and say full sell, I'm just down on this team, and until they win a big game, I'm going to be just totally disinterested. But I'll do my best to hang around. But the apathy is setting in quite early with this basketball team. I'll just say it, for me at least.
Mm-hmm. It's just something to have in the background now. It's not
white noise.
That one just pissed me off last night, and I get it. It's the number 1 ranked team. Everyone would say, "Why are you so upset?" They were 6.5-point underdogs. Why would you be upset that they lost to the number 1 ranked team? It's that I've seen it, the exact game play out, and that we were like we said, if you just shoot badly, if you had an off night shooting, you would win the game. And I'm just so tired of having the worst shooting nights in the history of Spartans basketball in these games.
I'm also sick of these records getting set against us. Like Bill Self becoming the winningest coach in Kansas history. That couldn't have happened against somebody else.
Bill Self, guys.
I mean, he's a great coach, but I mean that seems to happen far too often against us these days.
Cheater.
We owe whatever.
I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I just don't. I'm looking at this team, and I'm just going to say it. I don't think we have the horses. And it's something that Michigan State fans, and maybe I'm putting too many fans in this bucket, but I'm spoiled with this team. And I don't accept 7 seed first or second weekend loss. And it just feels like that's what we're setting up for yet again. But like, and we just look at this team, we don't have the horses. Like, I just feel like I know how the season's gonna go. Like, unless something changes materially in how the way Akins is playing, the way Booker's playing, the rest of the team meshes. I'm so happy to be wrong if that's the case, but I just don't see it. Like, and again, it's November. It could be a total overreaction to one game, but I feel like I've seen it in the past when we don't have the horses. Last year, I thought we had a horse, Tyson Walker, and I don't even see that. I don't even see if we have. We don't even seem to have a horse like that on this team. So, unless something changes, I'm big concerns about this team.
Agreed.
Yep. Yeah. It's like, again, it's concerns, but it's like I don't even care about the concerns. That's how bad it is. Like I didn't lose any sleep last night.
Not announced. No.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of
probably a good thing.
That was kind of my point going into the season about no expectations. I don't care if they win or lose that game.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't really. I'm so bad.
Any other year, I could have gone on like a 15-minute rant about Hunter Dickinson, and it's like I don't even care. Like,
yeah.
No, I mean, at this point, I'm just used to him eating our lunch every time we play him. We just don't even like.
No, it's just, yeah.
I mean, nobody else on their team was really doing much for most of the game, to be honest. But
that's even worse. Like, I honestly would rather have someone else do that. Like, I hate Hunter Dickinson. Obviously, I think we all do. Like, why can't we stop him? Like, was there any question like that he was going to play? Like, did we not like know? Like, we know his game pretty well. How do you not shut that down?
We definitely do not have a defender among our bigs that can do that. It was very obvious if you were watching those guys last night. They were on skates all night. Yeah.
Why didn't we get one?
Right.
Yeah. I know. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying we don't have that. If we're being completely honest, we do not have that on our roster.
Look, and maybe that's the game plan. Hey, let him beat us all you want. Don't let anyone else score. Yeah, I get that. And if that's the case, they certainly succeeded because you're right. They didn't have anyone else truly really going off. So, that could be be my lack of basketball knowledge, but
that's what a lot of teams would do with Purdue and Zach Edey last year.
Right. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. If you're going to make them play your game and make that happen, you have to win.
You got to score. I mean, you got to score points.
You got to shoot the ball.
Yeah. So, I mean, more to come, obviously. One thing, it didn't seem to me, I thought Izzo would be more upset than he was, just given I think he's been pretty candid with this team so far this offseason. Like, he's definitely not holding back. Certainly not. Like, he's been calling out specific guys, which he's always done. But it's been pretty early this season. He's not. He's put a lot of pressure on Akins. There's no doubt about that publicly.
He doesn't know what he has from anybody else.
Right. Yeah. But he didn't seem it seems like I'm more upset than Izzo is, but it seems to me like he's more upset when we beat bad teams and play okay than he is when we lose to good teams and play badly. I don't know if that's a motivation thing for the team, but also I'm sure that they know that they can't shoot that poorly. There's probably no need to just kick them while they're
Keep
down.
harping on it. Yeah.
He didn't seem too upset, at least from what I saw, but obviously I am.
Yeah.
Well, ended up being about 25 minutes. Went longer than 2.
We did okay. I think
And
anything
cut. No.
Yeah, I could keep going, but it would be a lot of the same rhetoric at this point. Moving on to a team that we still have some hope for, albeit a slight
That can all
window of hope.
change.
Right.
Hope is a dangerous word.
The football team travels to Champaign to take on the Illinois Fighting Illini. They'll be wearing the all whites with the gruff helmet. A change from the usual Jonathan Smith. He's been pretty traditional with the uniforms this year, but Illinois 6-3. Not a team that I would expect to be more talented than us. They certainly have put it together this year. They've got wins over Michigan, Nebraska. Let's see some of their other wins. Kansas. These were all ranked teams at the time. They played Penn State really tough at Penn State. Mm-hmm. They only lost 21-7.
Okay.
Definitely a team that is going to put up a fight for the Spartans. It's not certainly no gimme. ESPN matchup predictor has it. I mean, this is like Michigan State's game every week. It's 66% chance for Illinois to win, 33% chance for the Spartans to win. 2.5 point spread, which if you do the gambling thing, typically home teams get like a 3.5 point bump for being at home. So if this game were in East Lansing, Michigan State would be favored, or if it was at a neutral site, Michigan State would likely be favored. Statistically speaking, we match up pretty well. If you get a little closer, or if you look a little closer, their quarterback turns the ball over way less than ours. But
it's also way more experienced.
Yes, absolutely. Travis, I'll start with you. Just initial thoughts on this one as Spartans travel to Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to make of Illinois. Like you were talking about all the games they've won, their close game against Penn State. They also needed overtime to beat a really bad Purdue team at home.
And lost to Minnesota.
And they lost to Minnesota, and they got boat raced by Oregon pretty much as badly as we did.
Yeah.
So it's just their quarterback has the experience. Jonathan Smith was saying that's one guy that they're worried about this week with his experience and his ability to make plays. He's not as mobile as a lot of the other good quarterbacks in the league are, but he has the stats to prove that he's good. I don't like you look at the guys playing around him, the running backs, the receivers, whatever. Nobody particularly stands out completely above everyone else. It's just all completely balanced, which is what kind of scares me.
Yeah.
Like they can all beat you. Their running backs, the top 2 running backs have each over 300 yards and each have at least 3 touchdowns. They have one receiver that has 7 touchdowns and 582 yards, and then they have another receiver that has 500 yards, and that's basically the guys that they get the ball to. Yeah. Everybody else is just so there's not a lot of guys that they throw the ball to, but it's all balanced and they're all very productive with the ball. So it's a very difficult team to get a good picture of when you look at everything that they've accomplished this year and all the letdowns they've had.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Nick, your thoughts?
Just win this game. Please. Please. Their stud linebacker, I guess, got targeting in their last game in the second half, so he's out the first half. We've got to cook, got to execute in the red zone. Last time we run up after a bye week, we fixed one of our biggest issues. Hopefully we can fix that this week. It's the last quarter of the season. This is obviously a developmental year. Maybe Childs could have developed a bit more over this bye week. Because I mean, you have to develop at one point.
Yeah.
Like, man,
They have a very good secondary too, so that's going to be challenging.
I did read this stat online 2 weeks ago that Illinois has a bottom 5 run defense in the Big Ten. So
That bodes well for us.
that's good. That can open up our offense a bit. Maybe that'll turn the Childs making some better decisions, and we can ball out. Just Joe Rossi's Big Ten West experience is probably good for this as well.
Yeah.
A sack would be nice, maybe even 2.
Yes.
God, just win. Just find a way to win this game, please. So just do it for us. Do it for Spartan fans everywhere.
Right. Yeah. No, it's hard
a lot to play for. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely still a lot to play for. I mean, 7 wins is on the table. The Vegas over-under was 4.5. So to get to 7 would be, I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but you can't get to 7 unless you get to this game, win this game. So, getting to 5 wins even would be
hit the over.
Hit the over.
Last year,
pretty much beat the projections. I think that this is it's a good matchup for the Spartans. I think the defense again will have its hands full given their quarterback's experience. But I think, Nick, to your point, I think it's good to have Joe Rossi on the sidelines for this one. He's got to be familiar with Illinois and what they're doing. And I do think there are some concerns, Trav, to your point. I mean, the wide receivers, doesn't look like they have a ton of targets that are shining. They have the 2 targets, Bryant, who has 582 and 7 touchdowns, and then Franklin, 515 and 2 touchdowns, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, it doesn't seem like they have too many weapons in the passing game.
Right.
And the running game is kind of just a committee.
Exactly. That's what scares me. There's nobody to target when you're there's nobody to key in on them when you're putting together a defensive plan.
Right. Yeah, and that's fair. I do think we've done a fairly good job of stopping the run. If we can make them pass and just limit their 2 weapons that they really have, I think it could be, a good opportunity. The offense has got to score points. I mean, we cannot have, the interceptions. They are what they are. But we can't. You can't keep giving the other team the ball. So you have to hold on to the ball and score some points. You're looking at just statistics. They average about 356 yards a game. We're at 345. 214 passing for them. We're at about 228. 142 rushing. We're at about 117. Total TDs in the year, they have 27. We have 18. So that's definitely, a deficit on our end. Third down efficiency, pretty similar. Fourth down efficiency, also pretty similar as well. I think if Michigan State can establish a run game and get stops on defense, I really like our chances here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a team that we've said this about a couple teams. I think it's a team that we're more talented than. I probably thought that against Illinois or against Indiana, and that probably wasn't true. Hopefully I'm not wrong on this one, but I think Illinois' record 6-3, it's probably about what they are. I mean, they haven't played a ton of tough teams. They haven't played Ohio State. They haven't played the schedule that we have. That's say it more plainly. But the teams, Oregon, they got beat up. They got beat down just like we did. Michigan, they played a close game with, similar to what we have. So I think it's a pretty even matchup. I really think it comes down to, I think Childs is going to have to play a game similar to Iowa or Maryland. The offensive line is going to have to give him some time to throw. I don't know in terms of sacks what Illinois has, but the pass protection's got to be better. They rank number 9 in the Big Ten in total defense, so that's just barely in the top 50%. So it's not like we're playing a defensive juggernaut. I like the chances to bounce back off the bye week here. Nick, like you said, Iowa was a good re-entry out of the bye week. We obviously got some things right in that bye week. Hopefully, we can do the same here against Illinois. It's definitely a game that I feel like we should win. It's definitely a must-win game too.
Every game's a must-win from here on
Yeah,
out.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
until we reach bowl eligibility, at least.
Yeah, and a sack would be really nice. And a turnover. Can we
A
a
sack would be
turnover
awesome.
and a sack? Give me one of those. Hopefully more,
Give me both.
but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of
Strip
each.
sack. Let's go.
Yeah. But I think keys to victory. We kind of already hit on them. Execute on offense.
It's the same every week, honestly.
Yeah.
Don't suck.
Yeah.
Don't suck.
Injury wise, it sounds like Charles is going to play.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like
Anthony
Brantley
Jones,
is-
they're optimistic, they said.
yeah. Brantley questionable. Glover questionable. Rucker questionable.
Rucker's out for the season. He
Yeah,
said.
Rucker's done
Oh.
for the year.
Well, this
Yeah.
is-
Unless he
Yeah,
play in a bowl game, they said maybe he'll be.
Yeah, they asked him specifically about Tatum and
here.
Rucker, and he said they were both done.
Let me see. So Brantley and Malik Spencer both questionable as well. Obviously, we would like to have those.
Yep.
But Glover, I think, is key. We just need options on offense other than Velling and Marsh and the running backs.
Is
and
he
Childs running? No, I absolutely agree with that. One thing to look forward to here: 2:30 kickoff. An afternoon game
That's
for the boys.
interesting. I'm gonna be mid coverage of another game when that kicks off. So.
Oh, darn.
Sweet.
Well, FS1 2:30, so not bad.
Yep.
I mean, sets us up for a good afternoon. Hopefully, the Spartans can get it done. But yeah, any other thoughts on Illinois?
Just win.
Just win.
Just win.
Please just win. We beat a ranked Illinois team 2 years ago with like a horrible team. So come
Right.
on. Show me something.
Yeah.
Show
Yeah.
me something.
This is just a game like coming out
Set
of the
the
bye.
tone.
You just have to win. I mean, it's very similar to Iowa. I think I also think Iowa's a better team than Illinois. Iowa obviously a little easier. You're playing them at home, but Champaign, Illinois is not the most daunting of venues. The body clocks were only an hour behind, so really shouldn't be an issue. For me, no excuses in this one, unless Child's injury is worse than reported and he's playing pretty injured. I really don't really see any excuses here for the Spartans.
It will not be a good show. It will be a very unpleasant show with a loss.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, you'll make my thoughts on the basketball team look like day at the beach. I'll just say that. All right, no more additional thoughts in Illinois. I'll jump into the CFP rankings, number 2 for this year. Not too many changes. I saw on ESPN. I didn't watch the video, but I guess Paul Feinbaum was really had some issues with the rankings. I don't really know why. The only big change really is that Ole Miss jumped from, I think, 16 to 11, so they're now in. Georgia went from 4 or 5 to 12, and they would be out right now with Boise State at 13 getting that group of 5 spot. The top, I guess Miami's out as well. That's another change. Well, they're dropped down to 9, so they're still in.
Yeah, that's one of the big arguments there.
Yeah. What's the argument that they didn't fall out of the
that they're not even leading their conference yet? They're ahead of the team that's leading the conference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And who is leading? Is it SMU?
SMU, yes.
Well, that should sort itself out, right?
Well, it would in the conference championship.
In the conference championship,
they
right?
don't play each other in the regular season. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
yeah.
So the expected Oregon at 1, getting the bye, Big Ten championship. They're Big Ten champion. They're 10-0. Ohio State at 2, 8-1. Texas 3, 8-1. Penn State 4, 8-1. Indiana moving up to 5 at 10-0. I'd probably put Indiana ahead of Penn State at this point, but that's just probably personal preference. So the Big Ten having 4 out of the 5 top 10 teams,
And
then nobody else. BYU 6, Tennessee 7, Tennessee Georgia this weekend.
That's a big one.
Elimination game.
Yeah, pretty much. I think if Georgia wins, they're back in. Tennessee wins, Georgia's out officially. I would think firmly on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Notre Dame at 8. They're, as long as they keep winning, they're going to stay.
Yeah.
They're only going to move up.
They got Army this week.
Yeah, the next week I think.
Is it next?
Bye
Yeah,
week this week.
Maybe it's a bye week then. Their next game is
Notre Dame plays Virginia this week.
Army's next game is Notre Dame. Is what I was saying. Yeah.
And Army plays Tulane. So Miami, we talked about Miami, Alabama. That was a nice win over LSU. Pretty convincing there. They're at 10. I don't know what their upcoming schedule. I know this week they play Mercer, but if they don't have to play in the SEC championship and they keep winning, they're probably locked in. Same with Ole Miss. And then Boise State, that group of 5 team. I don't really know. The next group of 5 team is what? Army and Tulane at 24 and 25. So Boise State just keeps winning, and then they're probably
Washington State's technically a group of 5 teams.
Yeah, I put them as Pac-12, but they're technically 5. You're right. I don't think that there's. Well, I guess they could keep winning too. But yeah, to me, it's not a ton of dangerous teams on the outside looking in right now. Outside of SMU, A&M, I guess Colorado maybe. I guess these teams could win their. I don't know if Texas A&M can play in the SEC championship still, but
yeah, they're tied for first place right now.
So there you go. So they could
set it up.
They could probably crash the party a little bit.
Yeah, they got that big one with Texas to end the year.
Yeah,
so that'll probably put one of them in the SEC championship.
Right. Yeah, and outside of that, you've got Clemson lingering. LSU's probably done. South Carolina keeps on winning, but they're probably too far out at this point.
Yeah, that's a weird one because they lost to LSU head to head, but they're ahead of LSU.
I hate when they do that. I really do.
Same here.
There really is a pretty easy way to do these rankings when you consider head-to-head games.
Yeah.
Back after the Michigan game in 2021, when they said, well, if you actually put aside what happened on the field, Michigan's very clearly the better team. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why do we even play the games?
That's what I always say.
Also, it's Ward Manuel. Who's gonna expect that guy to make any sense?
Yeah. But any thoughts from you two on where things stand? Any surprises? Any predictions?
I think Tennessee's better than some of the teams ahead of it, but
I agree.
You can't really put them ahead of an undefeated team right now.
Yeah.
So,
do you think they're better than Ohio State, Texas, or Penn State?
I would say I think they're better than Penn State. I don't think they're better than the other 3.
What about Indiana?
Possibly, yeah.
I think they're probably better than Penn State. Right on par with Indiana. I think that'd be a good game.
Yeah. That's probably the most fair way to put it.
I think they're better than BYU. I think if they beat Georgia, I would expect them to jump into the top 5, potentially the top 4. But I think the one thing that surprised me, four Big Ten teams in the top 5, and then nothing after that. But looking at the Big Ten, I don't really know. Would there be anybody else that I would?
Iowa's like the next team in the standings.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Iowa's. Yeah.
Yeah, Iowa and Minnesota and Illinois are the next 3 in the standings.
Yeah, and I don't think I would.
I wouldn't rank any of those
ahead of anybody.
Yeah.
SEC has 8 teams, 4 of which are in the top 12, if you count Georgia. ACC 4 teams, pretty good showing from the ACC, especially with Florida State being not one of the teams. Big 12 3, Group of 5 3, Independent 1, Group of 5 4 if you count Washington State. I keep putting Pac-12, but they're Group of 5. So yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty well spread out. I mean, I was expecting Iowa to be in at the beginning of the season. I would have expected Iowa to be in this. But I think they've got it right. I think you could move a couple teams around depending on, like Tennessee, you could have it 6 or 5. Miami, I don't think that loss was disqualifying. I think you could probably have them lower. I think Alabama and Ole Miss are probably better than Miami. Georgia too. But I don't think that loss would put them out of the playoff.
No. It shouldn't have.
It just doesn't sort itself out.
And that's what I'm saying as I looking through this, like Miami, SMU, one of those teams is going to get in more than likely based on the ACC championship. Some of these SEC teams, like Georgia, can find its way back in. Tennessee can cement its spot. The same with Ole Miss. But I think ranking Georgia at 12 still tells you very much that they're very much still in play, even if they don't win the SEC. And there's some good teams that are lurking, like A&M, Kansas State, Colorado. They're right there. So, the pressure really is on Boise State to keep winning. I don't know what their upcoming schedule looks like, but probably not too many tough games if I had to guess.
Yeah, I was looking at it earlier. I know their next one is San Jose State, which is 6-3. Let's see.
Then
Wyoming, then they have
and Oregon
2-7 Wyoming, and then Oregon State.
Yeah, so they're probably not going to drop out.
And then they have the conference championship game too.
Oh yeah. Good point. So yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much covers that. Unless you guys have any parting thoughts before we go to Miss the Vis.
One thing I do think,
yes,
I do think that Alabama at Bloomington would be very funny, and that would be MSU Cotton Bowl-esque.
Oh, that's what I was gonna look at is the bracket. So that's just funny. I'm glad you mentioned that. So, okay, Tennessee would go to Notre Dame. This is as the current rankings. That's not crazy.
Good game.
Boise State going to Ohio State. That's
a blowout.
Yeah. Oregon would host the winner of Notre Dame, Tennessee. OSU, BSU, or Boise State would go to Miami. In Alabama, Bloomington, that's definitely an odd one. If Penn State or Ole Miss had to travel to BYU, that'd be pretty interesting. And then if Indiana wins, they have to go to Texas. Alabama, Texas at the Sugar Bowl. Oh no, these would be. I'm sorry. The next round would be the neutral site games. So no one's going to BYU. Sorry, Cougars.
No one wants to go to Utah anyway.
No, that's true. This is all going to change eventually. It's like getting tripped up by the rankings versus their seeds.
Yeah,
because Ohio State is the number
chance going to be the top 4 seeds.
Yeah. That's throwing me off. I'm still going to use this 12-team thing. All right. Anyways, Miss the Vis is back. I know Nikki put something together, so
I'm scared.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Miss the Vis. All right, music was cued. On this week on Miss the Vis, we're doing the Champions Classic edition. Only 5 questions here. For each of our wins, I'm going to tell you the year, the game, and the amount of points, and you're going to guess who our leading scorer was that year.
Oh, okay.
Specifically in the game?
That game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you weren't kidding when you said it'd be impressive if I got more than half.
So yeah, there are only
Surprising.
5. So if you get 3, I'll be very impressed. So 2012, our freshman year versus Kansas. Michigan State won that game, and our leading scorer scored 19 points.
Man, there's a lot of ways I could go here. Keith Appling.
That is correct.
Nice.
Next year, our sophomore year, 2013, number 1 versus number 2, Michigan State versus Kentucky. MSU won that game. That was awesome. And our leading scorer had 22 points.
I'm going to double down. I'll go Athling again.
And you're correct.
Nice.
Wrist injury. And next time we won was 2015, our senior year. That was also against Kansas. We have not beaten them since.
Nice Matt McQuaid block in that game. Yeah.
Yep. That one, our leading scorer had 29 points.
Denzel.
That's right. You already got 3 for 3. And you have 2 left. This one.
These are going to be hard.
This one, 20. We did not win the Champions Classic for like 5 years. 2020 during the COVID-19, we were actually at Cameron Indoor, and this is against the Duke Blue Devils. One of the few wins we have against them. Our leading scorer scored 20 points. This is 2020-2021 season. Cashers was not on the team.
Guys, well, oh, yeah, you're right. Wait a minute. Yeah, your years are throwing me off here. Hold on. You said it was 2020.
That was a 2020-2021 season.
Okay, that's
so November of 2020.
I'm thinking. Okay, yeah, I'm thinking the year before.
Why was it played at Cameron Indoor?
Because it was
a COVID thing.
Yeah. Okay. So, sorry. How many points again? Sorry, we got thrown off.
20 points.
20 points. Leading scorer 2020. God, I don't have it. Aaron Henry.
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't think.
One. Rocket Watts.
Oh my God.
I
was thinking he was off the team by then too.
No, freshman year. Or that might have been the sophomore year.
That was his sophomore year, yeah.
And then the final game 2 years ago, 2022 versus Kentucky, our leading scorer had 23 points.
2 years ago, 2022. It's weird. It's harder for me to remember who was on the team 2 years ago than 7 years ago. Okay.
These memories out.
Yeah. Hauser?
That's correct.
Wow.
Nice.
4 out of 5. Beautiful.
The kid
If
did
you got
good.
Watts, that would have been back to the drawing board. That was a good showing.
Not bad, Trav. Good showing all around.
I surprised myself. Yeah.
Man,
Good
we really
showing.
could have won the title in 2014.
All right, time for the picks.
All right. Music incoming. Oh, I have not updated graphic. It is week 12, by the way. I got lazy.
That's all right. Really quick, the fact that we've only beaten Duke once in the Champions Classic is a little sad. I know we only played them so many times, but that sucks. Okay, week 12.
And it was their worst team, too.
Yeah.
The one that missed the tournament.
You just had to throw that in too. That makes it even
They're
sadder.
ranked at the 10.
All right, week 12 picks. Last week, another nice showing from Nikki, 9-6. I came in at 7-8. Travis 6-9.
Dropped a turd. Yep.
That is all to say. Nikki and I have closed the gap on Travis. We are all square, tied for first at 80-80 on the year.
Insane.
That's crazy. We have
no baby.
3 weeks left, and we are all tied up at 500 even. That's just how sports gambling probably is. It's kind of funny how it even turned out this way, but we're going to start off this week in the Big Ten on the shores of Lake Michigan. The second-ranked team in the country, Ohio State, traveling to Northwestern to take on the Wildcats in their what do I always mention it? It's their temporary stadium. I always have to mention that. Ohio State favored by 28.5 on the road against the Wildcats.
Yeah, that's a big one, but it's Ohio State and Northwestern, so Buckeyes.
I think Northwestern will cover.
I am going to take the Buckeyes. Next game in the SEC, the Texas Longhorns, coming in ranked number 3 in the country, travel to Fayetteville to take on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Texas favored in this one by 13.5.
I'm tempted to take Arkansas just because of the history over there between those teams in Fayetteville, but I'm going to take the Longhorns.
I'm going to show some respect to my father-in-law and choose Arkansas to cover.
All right. Nice. Yeah, tough one here. I liked Arkansas's kind of been quietly all right this year. I feel like Texas, they don't really have to keep winning convincingly now for the style points, but I think they'll want to. I'm going to go Texas to cover that. Next one, we are in the Big 12, heading to Boulder, Colorado. The Utah Utes, after a close loss in the Holy War to BYU, Utah travels to Boulder to take on the Fighting Neon Deons of Colorado. Colorado, 17th ranked, playing some pretty good football lately, favored by 11.5.
I think Colorado wins, but I would say Utah covers.
I'm going to go with Utah to cover as well. They're dead.
You know what? I'll take. This is one that if you guys were both on Colorado, I would have taken Utah. But with you guys both being on Utah, I will take the risk and go with Colorado.
Something about an athletic director talking to everybody after the game.
Yes. Okay, big one in the ACC. Number 20 Clemson heads on the road to take on the unranked Pitt Panthers, just coming off a loss. I forgot who it was that they lost to, was SMU, I think. Clemson favored in this one by 10, looking to keep their ACC championship hopes alive here. Clemson at Pitt, 10 points.
Yeah, I don't love it, but I'm going to go Clemson.
Yeah, I think the Pitt season of dreams is over. It is the cars crashed, so I'm going to go Clemson.
Cars crash.
I do worry about the Pitt being a little deflated, but I'm going to take the Nard Dog here. I don't know if they'll win, but I think they can cover 10 points. I'm just so not impressed with Clemson. I think they're hanging on to dear life here with an easier schedule. But I'll take Pitt to cover. All right. I said that Army plays Tulane. It's actually Navy. I think, Trev, you're right. I think Army is on a bye week.
Yep,
so
I double checked.
There's corrections to be made earlier in the episode. That's on me. 25 ranked Tulane travels to Annapolis to take on the Navy midshipmen. Tulane looking to stay in the conversation for that Big Five or the Group of Five spot. Favored by 7 in this one.
I'm going to go a little bold and go with Navy.
I'm going to go Tulane.
I am going to take Tulane as well. Okay, Virginia travels to the 8th ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish in South Bend, Indiana. Notre Dame favored by 23.
That's a lot, but yeah, I'll go Notre Dame.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not even looking up, but I feel like Virginia's horrible, so I'm going to go Notre Dame.
I'm going to follow suit there and go Notre Dame as well. All right, Trev, always try and throw in SMU for you. Boston College traveling to SMU. SMU ranked 14th, trying to keep their playoff hopes alive as well. SMU favored by 19.5.
Yeah, and Boston College is doing a little quarterback change this week too. I like the ponies in that one.
Yeah, Thomas Castellanos entered the transfer portal. That fast. I guess I'll go SMU.
I will go SMU as well. I don't like the change of quarterbacks for Boston College. That's tough. Okay, LSU coming off a tough loss to Alabama. Did not put up much of a fight in that one. Dropping down to 22nd in the rankings. They are traveling to the Swamp to take on the Florida Gators, who have played tough in a couple tough matchups lately. LSU favored in this one by 4.5.
Yeah, I like that. I'll take LSU.
You know what? I'm going to go Florida. Swamp's a tough place to play, baby.
Yeah, Florida has they don't really have too many wins to show for it, but they've played these ranked teams pretty tough. I like it at home too. I just think it's just not enough points. I could see LSU winning by 7 to 10 points. I'll take LSU with Trav. Starting to worry that I'm picking too many favorites here. Okay, Nikki's favorite non-MSU team, the 23rd ranked Missouri Tigers and Eli Drinkowitz, traveling to the 21st ranked South Carolina Gamecocks, who are putting together a pretty respectable season with some big wins and some really close losses against some very good teams. Missouri is a 12-point underdog in this one, so South Carolina favored by 12 points at home.
I think South Carolina wins, but Missouri covers.
I've been betting on the Cox lately, and they've been really doing well for me. So I'm gonna keep going.
Goes against
with the Cox. I think it's too many points. I think it's a close one. I think Missouri covers. I think that's a toss-up game. I have no idea who's going to win, but I think Missouri can cover that spread, make it a one-score game. All right. Traveling back to the Big Ten here in what will probably not be a one-score game. The first-ranked Oregon Ducks traveling to Madison, Wisconsin to take on the Badgers. Oregon favored by 14, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, Ducks by 1 million.
I'll go Oregon. I would be a wreck if I was a Wisconsin fan.
Yeah. I'm going to go Oregon too. I don't think that 14 points is enough. Oregon pretty much blows out everybody that they play. And they've just been rolling, so I'm going to go with Oregon as well. All right, probably the marquee matchup outside of Michigan State in this week's slate. The number 7 Tennessee Volunteers are traveling to the 12th ranked Georgia Bulldogs to take on Kirby Smart and his team, coming off a tough loss this past Saturday at the hands of the Ole Miss Rebels. Georgia favored in this one at home by 10 points.
Go Tennessee. I think it's going to be a little closer.
Tennessee's QB isn't playing, right, Nico?
Yeah, Imawala.
Okay.
Did they rule him out? I thought he was just questionable.
Sounds not good. It's trending towards not playing, I think.
10 points sounds crazy, so I'm going to go Georgia.
I, too, am going Georgia. I would not want to be playing Georgia after a loss at home as well. I'll take Georgia. But I'm rooting for Tennessee. I want Tennessee to win that game. I'm just tired of hearing about Georgia every week. A 12-team playoff without Georgia would be crazy, but also
they haven't lost 3 regular season games in like 10 years.
Right, yeah. That's pretty crazy. A 12-team playoff without Georgia, I don't think anyone would have bet on at the beginning of the season. But if Tennessee can do it, I'd love to see it. I think Georgia wins that one pretty handily, though. Okay, back to the Big 12. Kansas, a streaky Kansas team, taking on the 6th-ranked BYU Cougars in Utah. I think Provo. Is it Provo where they are?
Yes.
Or is that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. In Provo, Utah. BYU Cougars, again, 6th-ranked, favored by 2.5 at home.
Yeah, I'm going to take BYU. I think Kansas used up its magic last week.
Yeah, I'll go BYU as well.
I feel like BYU is ripe for a letdown, but I don't know if it's going to be this week. I'll take the Cougs at home. The Cougs. I'll take the Cougs at home. Shout out to Hannon. All right, a classic Who Cares game, but I wanted to get it on.
Hell yeah.
The schedule here. Nebraska at USC. USC favored by 9.
Who cares, Nebraska?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Nebraska, whatever.
USC trying out a new quarterback. It sounds like that. Well, what's his name? Miller Moss.
Miller Moss, yeah.
New quarterback. You know, I'm going to take USC here. Put myself on the opposite side. Rooting for Nebraska, but I'll take USC. All right. The Lions are hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars, who will be without quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Lions at home probably will be without Laporta, but I think they'll be getting Decker back. No idea what other injuries they may be dealing with, but the Lions are favored by 13.5.
Yeah, you know the drill. Detroit football Lions.
Yeah, that is a huge spread, but I don't even care.
Yeah.
Same here. I'll take Lions.
Jacksonville.
Is it worth even putting them in the picks anymore? I mean, if we win, we all get a win. If we lose, we all get a loss.
No, eventually you'll pick against them.
Okay.
But what it makes sense. It doesn't make sense right now.
Okay. I am with you. All right.
I also like Lions winning. I just enjoy it.
Yeah. I agree. We'll keep them in, and for the record, I'll take the Lions as well. Okay. Now for the granddaddy of them all, the biggest and the best, the 4-5 Michigan State Spartans head to Champaign, Illinois to take on the Fighting Illini. Both teams probably looking for a win. Illinois entered the game 6-3. They were ranked at one point, have fallen out of the rankings. This win might get them back in the top 25. Michigan State on the road here is a 2.5-point underdog. Travis, I'll start with you. Of course, I'll give me the score.
Yeah, so I am going to end this episode on a sour note, unfortunately, but that's because I'm hoping that I'm wrong. I've been wrong so many times this year. I need it to be wrong again for us to be good. So I would say I'm going to go Illinois 27, Spartans 23.
Yeah, I was actually also going to pick against us. 27-13 Illinois.
27-13?
Yeah, we suck.
Wow. Okay. Okay, I'll be the voice of hope here. I think MSU gets it done. Michigan State 24, Illinois 17. Michigan State wins by a touchdown. Jack Felling scores at the 8-minute mark in the fourth quarter to separate us. Defense holds strong for the rest of the game. Victory formation late in the game. Well, there you have it. So we get the first time this year that one of the savants, we get 2 picks against Michigan State. I think both hoping that they're wrong, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, first time.
You know what?
First time if you don't count Ohio State and
going
Oregon.
on.
You know what? No, I'm choosing Michigan State.
Oh,
I can't. It was
A
too
late
much
change.
of a reverse jinx that I was trying to do. I can't in good faith.
I said what I said, and I'm sticking with it.
all right, Nikki, give me an updated.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Just swap it. We're gonna beat the shit out of them.
MSU 27, Illinois 13.
Yeah. I don't care. give it to me.
Okay, I like it. I like it. A late change. We'll see how it all plays out. Thank you to Nikki and Trav. Check out the Spartan Savants on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Click link, click like, subscribe, do the whole thing. Podcast, Apple Podcast, Amazon, whichever you prefer, really. Check out the College Huddle for some other great podcasts on specific to other schools. I believe there's also a Big Ten podcast as well. The Big Ten Huddle, I think it's called. Feel free to stop on over there and check them out. But as always, it's your host, Willie, for Nikki and Trav. Go Green.
Go White.
White.